Good day. My name is Todd Talley. I'm Management Analyst with the Audit and Investigations Division here at the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. Today, we're going to be talking about the requirements to hold a food and beverage certificate. Today, we'll be covering updates to the Alcoholic Beverage Code and Rules, the qualifications to hold a food and beverage certificate, all the record-keeping requirements to hold that food and beverage certificate, types of businesses that can hold a food and beverage certificate, and we'll be covering examples of those businesses. Starting off, in the last legislative session, Section 29 was added to 1.04 of the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code and was included to give a definition of restaurant. Under that section, restaurant means a business that operates its own permanent food service facility with commercial cooking equipment on its premise and prepares and offers to sell multiple entrees for consumption on or off the premise. In addition to those changes, there were changes made to the different permits that could hold a food and beverage certificate. These sections were updated to accommodate this new definition of a restaurant and to include them in the definitions for food and beverage certificates. The four permits, of course, were wine and malt beverage retailers on premise, mixed beverages, private club registration permits, and retail malt beverage on premise licenses. The changes were made to the food and beverage certificate of those permits so that they can hold the certificate. And the changes made basically state the holder of the permit or license may be issued a food and beverage certificate by the commission if the permit holder is a restaurant, or the commission finds that the receipts from the sale of alcoholic beverages by the permit holder at the location are 60% or less of the total receipts from the location. In addition, the Alcoholic Beverage Commission updated Rule 33.5B4 to include and update and define what a location is. The designated physical address of the location includes all areas at the address where the license or permit holder may sell, serve, or deliver alcoholic beverages for immediate consumption at the address. And this is regardless whether some of those areas are occupied by other businesses, as long as those businesses are contiguous. This rule was also added mirroring definition of restaurant under 33.5B6. And again, this mirrors the language that a restaurant is a business that operates its own permanent food service facility with commercial cooking equipment on its premise and prepares and offers to serve multiple entrees for consumption on or off the premise. So, the qualifications to hold a food and beverage certificate have essentially stayed the same. There has been a couple of minor updates, but to qualify to hold a food and beverage certificate, a permit or license must offer multiple entrees available to the customers and operate permanent food service facilities. And now they may either qualify by receipts from the sale of alcoholic beverages by the license or permit holder at the location, or 60% or less of the total receipts from the location, or the facility meets the definition of a restaurant under Section 33.5B6. Remember, a restaurant is defined as a business that operates its own permanent food service facility with commercial equipment on its premise and prepares and serves to sell multiple entrees for consumption on or off the premise. In addition to these, the qualifications are that the hours of operation for the sale and service of your food and alcoholic beverages are the same, except that food may be sold or served before or after the legal hours for the sale of alcoholic beverages. And also, if the location is a hotel, it maintains separate area restaurants, lounges, or bars. Food service facilities must exist for each of the designated licensed premises. The record-keeping requirements to hold a food and beverage certificate have not changed. Your records must be maintained to reflect separate totals for the alcoholic beverage sales or service, food sales, and all other sales categories at your location when combined, making up the location's total sales. You must also maintain your purchase invoices to reflect separate totals of purchases for your alcoholic beverages, food, and other purchase categories at your location. Any complimentary alcoholic beverages must be recorded and included in your total alcoholic beverage sales as if they were being sold and clearly marked as being complimentary. All your records must be maintained for 4 years and be made available upon authorized representatives of the commission upon request. If determining if your location qualifies under the 60% sales method qualifications, if your all gross receipts of all business entities sharing the location will be considered. It is the responsibility of the food and beverage certificate holder themselves to provide financial and accounting records related to food, alcohol, and other major sales categories of all business entities sharing the location. If such information is provided is deemed to be insufficient to determine if your permit qualifies to hold a food and beverage certificate, the computations and determination of your percentage of alcohol sales or service fees to total gross receipts will be based on available records at the time. I'm now going to cover the different types of businesses that can hold a food and beverage certificate. A permit holder who runs the food service portion of the business at the location can qualify for a food and beverage certificate, or a third-party vendor runs the food service portion of the business at the location. This third-party vendor must share contiguous building space with the permit holder. If the third-party vendor is a food trailer, it has to be permanently affixed to the location. We will be covering these in our examples. The other type of business that can qualify to hold a food and beverage certificate is if the permit holder's location itself qualifies as a restaurant as defined by the Alcoholic Beverage Code and rules. Restaurant meaning their business operates its own permanent food service facility with commercial equipment on its premise and prepares and offers to sell multiple entrees for consumption on or off the premise. In our starting example here, we have 3 businesses that operate under different trade names, but they all share a common hallway between all 3 businesses. All 3 businesses are being covered by a single mixed beverage permit issued to the address 123 Fake Street, Suites A through C. In this example, Suites A and B are bars, and Suite C has a restaurant with commercial equipment that serves food at all 3 suites using the common hallway between the businesses. This mixed beverage permit would qualify as a food and beverage certificate under the restaurant method. It qualifies under the restaurant method as in all 3 businesses are owned by the same permit holder. Suite C has a restaurant with commercial cooking equipment that serves food at all 3 businesses. It is having that commercial cooking equipment there that allows him to qualify as the restaurant. In our second example, we have the same scenario here. 3 different businesses under 3 different trade names sharing a common hallway between all 3 of those businesses. All 3 of those businesses, again, are owned by the same business entity and covered under a single mixed beverage permit issued to the same address as before. Where we differ from our previous example are Suites A and B are bars, and Suite C has a business with no commercial cooking equipment, but it meets all other qualifications to hold a food and beverage certificate. Suite C does serve food at all 3 suites using the common hallway between the businesses. This mixed beverage permit would qualify for a food and beverage certificate, but it would qualify under the 60% sales method. The reason it would qualify under the 60% sales method is the business in Suite C met all qualifications to hold a food and beverage certificate. They had multiple entrees. They had permanent food service facilities. Their hours of operation for sale and service of alcohol was the same. They could not qualify as a restaurant due to the fact that they did not have commercial cooking equipment. However, they do qualify under the 60% sales method because they meet all other qualifications of that to hold the food and beverage certificate. The only thing they couldn't qualify under the restaurant portion as is they had no commercial cooking equipment. In our final example, using our 3 businesses under 3 different trade names sharing a common hallway, all businesses are covered under the single mixed beverage permit issued to the address. Now, in this example, it differs in that suites A and B are bars owned and run by the permit holder, whereas suite C has a restaurant that is owned by a third party and has commercial cooking equipment and serves food at all 3 suites using the common hallway between the businesses. This mixed beverage permit would qualify as for a food and beverage certificate, but only under the 60% sales method. The reason being is that the business in Suite C is not owned nor run by the permit holder themselves, but they are benefiting from it. If you remember the definition of location, it says that a permit holder can qualify using sales for all businesses, even if those businesses are owned by a third party, as long as all food and alcohol receipts are provided upon request for audit. Moving on to a different type of example, we have 2 businesses, a bar located in Suite A and a pizza and pasta restaurants located in Suite B, and they are operating within the same shopping center. This bar has menus for the restaurants, and customers can call in orders and pick up food from the restaurant or have it delivered to them at the bar. The permit in Suite A would not qualify to hold a food and beverage certificate at all. Reason being, these businesses are not connected. There is no contiguous hallway between the 2 of them for them to have sales and service at both locations. In this example, we have a permit that is a location that is a freestanding location. This freestanding location has a large parking lot that is under its exclusive control. The permit holder has contracted with a vendor to place a food truck in the parking lot, which has removed its wheels. Menus for the food truck are in the location, and food is delivered by the food truck's employees to patrons at the permitted location. This permit would qualify for a food and beverage certificate under the 60% sales method, as long as all food vendor documents are made available upon request by the commission for auditing purposes. The food truck has been permanently affixed in a parking lot that is under the exclusive control of the permit holder and is part of the permit holder's location. This allows them to qualify for the food and beverage certificate under that 60% sales method. In this, we have the same type of example. We have a permitted location that is freestanding with a large parking lot under its exclusive control. They've contracted with and had several vendors place different food trucks in the parking lot, but all food trucks again have removed their wheels. All menus for the food trucks are located in the location, and food are delivered from the food trucks by the food trucks employees to the patrons in the permitted location. Again, this permit could qualify for a food and beverage certificate under the 60% sales method, as long as all the food vendor documents are made available upon request by the commission by the permit holder. In my final example today, the permitted location is located in a strip center with a large parking lot that is shared by several businesses. A vendor has placed their food truck in the common parking lot, and menus from the food truck are located in the location. Food is delivered by the food truck's employees to patrons in the permitted location. This permit would not qualify for a food and beverage certificate due to the fact that the food truck is located in the common parking lot of several shared businesses that is not under the exclusive control of the permit holder. Regardless of whether they had put their wheels on or taken it off the food truck, this permit still would not qualify, as again, the parking lot area is not under its exclusive and sole control. In summation today, we're going to cover, again, the definition of a restaurant as defined by the code and the rules are a business that has permanent food service facilities with commercial cooking equipment on its premise, and it prepares and offers to sell multiple entrees for consumption on and off that premise. In qualifying to hold the food and beverage certificate, you must hold the multiple entrees at your location. You must have permanent food service facilities. Your hours of operation for sale and service of food and alcohol beverage are the same, except that food can be sold or served before or after legal hours for alcohol. And either the receipts from the sale of alcoholic beverage by the permit holder at the location are 60% or less of the total receipts from the location, or the facility meets the definition of restaurant under section 33.5B6 of the code. Again, we have 3 business types that can hold a food and beverage certificate. We have a business where the permit holder has exclusive control and operates the food service facilities. You have a location that is shared with a third-party entity that has sales for food at the location, or the permit holder themselves meets the definitions to qualify as a restaurant. I thank you for your time today, and I will open up for some questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is an interesting situation. I have a restaurant, I have a BG permit, and also I can sell beer and wine package store, combination permits. I have a restaurant, I'm licensed, been approved. Now, do you see where I wrote a little chat here that my location, it has a commercial cooking facilities, and I want to put like a drive-up serving trailer in the front of my store, which would essentially be, in a public parking area to allow the drive-through, and bring essentially sell cold beer and wine and pizza, from my restaurant, that's right in front of the trailer will be right in front of my building. That way people don't have to get out of their car. They can drive through, pick up what they've purchased, or purchase alcohol from that trailer, beer and wine from that trailer that's parked in front of my building. It's really kind of on a street in a way. It would be kind of it's a 40-foot street in an old town where they used to turn wagons and horses around in it. It's like 60, 70 feet across, and it's a huge street. 100 years ago, that's how old it is. Anyway, I want to place that trailer in front, take the pizzas that have been ordered. Somebody says, oh, by the way, I'd like to have, 2 cans of Budweiser with that. And they have a little cooler out there where they can sell out of that through the drive-through. There's no direct connection between the trailer and the restaurant, except like a little, like a ramp, you know what I'm saying? Ramp. It would be like 15 feet from the front door. Is that legal to do that?
I'd have to look at your specific permit as to whether all that, I'd need a little more information on your permit, the permit type and all that sort of thing to be able to
Okay.
add.
I said I have a restaurant with, I think it's BG, which is you sell alcohol by the drink, beer and wine, okay, beer and wine. And then I can also sell, I have the appendant license that I can sell, package store beer and wine, you know, if I have the combination license. Are you familiar with those two licenses?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. Under the circumstances that I stated earlier, that serving trailer out in front, that's kind of like a drive-through trailer, so they don't have to park and you know, get out and come in the store. Can I serve out of that trailer?
Is the trailer located on your location that is under your exclusive control?
No, it would not be under my exclusive control.
Then no, you could not sell alcohol out of that trailer. That would constitute a sale away from your licensed premise.
What if they called ahead and said, I'd like to have, you know, a couple of beers with my pizza. Can you provide that too? And then we just provide, and we just store it in the trailer out front until they drive through. No new sale. They buy it online. You know how they would buy it online, and then they just drive through.
You need to come into your establishment. You could not serve out of that trailer.
Okay, so they would have to come in and pick it up in the store.
Yes, sir.
But they can purchase it online, right? If say they want to buy a pizza and they want to buy 2 Budweiser beers.
Yes, that would be.
They'd have to come in the store to buy that.
That is correct.
So no serving trailer out front.
Not for your alcohol, no.
Yeah. All right. Well, we need to change the law. Hey, can I ask you a hard question again? Why did the 2 licenses, the BG and then I don't know what my other license is called, the beverage, you know, package store license for beer and wine. Why did the fees for those 2 were $1,700 or so 2 years ago, and now they're $3,000 for the license fees? And I know the legislator raised it up, but then the mixed drinks came down from 7,000 or 8,000 down to 5,000. It just doesn't seem fair.
I apologize. I can't answer those questions in this forum. Those questions are beyond me for this forum. So I apologize. I cannot answer those permit fee questions today.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, the name's Rob. I work for restaurants here in the DFW area. We've got about 30 in DFW. We sell wine, but we are in the process of opening ghost kitchens. It is a second instance of a completely different brand, same company though. I sell wine inside my bakery. Can my ghost kitchen, which is producing food out of my kitchen, sell wine as well?
No, if you're the permit holder, then all alcohol receipts and purchases will be through your permit.
Right.
If they are using your kitchen, your permit could qualify for a food and beverage certificate as long as all of their food production receipts you make available to us upon request.
Okay, so they'll be using all of my food. All of my product is brought in under our brand's name. So I could get a license extended to them from us. Is that what you're saying?
No, the permitted location has to be under your exclusive control. If you are allowing a third-party vendor to come in and do the sale and service of food at the location, sale and service of alcohol still must be under your exclusive control.
Okay. I think I understand. We own both companies though. Okay.
The location itself, you would qualify for the food and beverage certificate at the location.
Yeah, so we do have one. So the primary location has their food and beverage certification. The ghost kitchen that's coming in would need their own?
No. You
Oh,
would,
okay, okay.
yeah,
Awesome.
they would be considered the third-party vendor. Your permit would qualify under the 60% sales method as long as all the receipts for food and alcohol were provided to us upon request.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Welcome.
So can you
Hi,
just
Todd.
clarify? Oh, no, go ahead.
Tana, Travis?
Yes, sir. Hi, Todd. This is Tana. I sent you a question in the direct chat. Do you want me to read it or do you want to cover it?
Go ahead and read it.
Okay. So to qualify for the food and beverage permit under 33.5C3A, they have to have multiple entrees and permanent food service facilities, and their alcohol sales are under 60%. With regards to an initial FB approval or a follow-up audit, can you provide more clarity on permanent food service facilities? The definition states that a permanent portion of the licensed premise where food is stored and prepared. Are you going to require a full kitchen area?
So food service facilities does mean where the permanent portion of your licensed premise where the food is stored and prepared for consumption on the premise. It does not have to have commercial cooking equipment. If it does have commercial cooking equipment, you could qualify under the definition of restaurant. So if you have permanent food service facilities that do not have commercial cooking equipment and you are the permit holder, then you could qualify under that 60% sales method.
Without having to have the full commercial kitchen. So I could have a convection oven or a grill, as long as it's a permanent facility and my receipts are under 60%, I'm good.
That is correct, as defined by the rule.
Thank you very much, Todd.
So if we're bringing in food trucks and they're different food trucks potentially each week, just so that we have variety of food, we cannot use them because they're not permanently there.
Correct.
Okay.
If there are no other questions here, I have a few in our chat as well. We have one question asked, can I define what multiple entrees are? Multiple means, two or more. So it used to be a specified number of entrees, and several years ago when we rewrote this rule, we determined that that was restrictive, so we left it at multiple. So as long as you have multiple entrees, you are good to go. As for the question as to, is there a minimum for commercial equipment and does a single piece of commercial equipment qualify? I believe that both these questions were from all text permits. It does not go into defining what commercial cooking equipment is. If you have a single piece of commercial equipment, then yes, you could qualify under that method. I have a question here from Amy Cartwright. If you're a brewery and meet the criteria, do you need to file for a food and beverage certificate? Unfortunately, breweries do not qualify for food and beverage certificates. The food and beverage certificates were set up within specified portions of the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Code for mixed beverage permits, wine and malt beverage on-premise retailers, private clubs, and then the malt beverage retail dealers on premise. So unfortunately, brewery, you can meet all the qualifications for holding a food and beverage certificate. Unfortunately, a brewery cannot get the food and beverage certificate as it was not included in your section of the code. The next question in the chat we have already covered. Can you provide a definition of contiguous space? In my example, I provided that it was a hallway. Can I give other examples? Most certainly. Let's say that you have two businesses side by side that have an open wall between them where people can easily pass from one business to the other. That is a contiguous space. If you have a location and you have a kitchen facility in it, and you contract with a third party to come in and run the kitchen and do all of your food space, you can qualify under the food and beverage for the 60% because the spaces are contiguous, right next to each other, free access between both businesses. So my next question, if the permit holder has contracted with a third-party food truck vendor to offer food prepared from the truck at the permit holder's property on a daily basis when the permit holder offers alcohol for sale, is it permissible without removing the wheels of the truck? Issue is that, at least in the city of Houston, food trucks must be movable for inspection at the city and cleaning registered commissaries. Unfortunately, at this time, they will have to have the ability to put those wheels back on. To qualify, the truck must be permanently there at the location. Another question I have here, if my menu has changed since my application for your wine and beer retailers or wine and malt beverage on-premise application was made and approved, do I have to submit the new menu to TABC? No, you do not need to submit a new menu to us. However, if your location is audited, you will of course need to provide all records and documentations, including a copy of your menu to the auditor. That concludes the questions here in my chat log. Does anybody else have any questions for me today? If there are no further questions, I want to thank you all for attending today. If you have any other questions, you can contact us and send them to the shareholder@tabc.texas.gov.